Hey everybody, what's up? What's going on? So you guys have now tuned in for my Love and Hip Hop New York stand up recap. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel. Check out my other channel, which is Samorelovetv, where we do the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and I might start doing Catfish since Empire just finished, but we'll see what happens. It depends on how I feel. I might not because the holidays are coming up and everything else. All right, Joe. So let's go ahead and get into this recap. Oh, and just to let you guys know, if you were wondering, I do have new videos coming up. All right, so Juju and Yandi, they were having a little bit of like a sit-down conversation type of thing, just kind of recapping everything that went on at the party last week. And Juju says that Jonathan told her or said about her that she's secretive and she doesn't really like that word. So Yandi's like, well, you are kind of secretive because let's take, for instance, when you had your breakup with Cam. You didn't tell anybody about it for a while. So as soon as she said that, like, Juju wasn't really receptive to it. She wasn't really feeling the way that she said that. And she just kind of felt like, well, if I didn't want to say anything at the moment that it happened, then that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm secretive, because she feels like sneaky and secretive go hand in hand. And she didn't really like that. The crazy thing about it, like, I do feel like it is a little bit secretive, but at the end of the day, they are on a show. But she could have at least told her, like, if they're such good friends, girls or whatever, she definitely could have told her, on the back end, maybe called her, text her, told her about it. She didn't have to wait until the show came back to bring it up. But I guess when it's juicy details, you're supposed to wait until the show comes up so you can kind of reveal those things to your friend. But yeah, so that's what I've kind of felt about that. Like, yeah, she was kind of secretive about it, but she probably felt embarrassed. She was in this relationship with this guy for so long. She spoke highly of him. He never came on the show or anything like that. But, we all knew who she was and who she was with. So, sometimes you have to kind of come to grips with the fact that you're no longer with the person that you was with for so many years. So, and that's the thing, like, sometimes people will tell you something and they don't necessarily want to hear the truth, or they don't expect you to tell them the truth, because there's a lot of friends out there that'll just kind of go along with what you're saying. They might kind of sort of listen, but they won't give you any feedback, or they won't tell you if you're wrong or whatever. For me, with my peoples, I don't have many, but the few that I have, I definitely give feedback and I let them know what I would do in a certain situation like that, or how I feel about it, so that they can know, like, if I think that something isn't right or is wrong. I'm not going to be like, yes, girl. Like, no, I'm like, but I see what this person is saying. I'll let them know that I don't necessarily fully agree with them, although I do see where they're coming from. Nya Lee, she's back, and Rich Dollars, he says that he feels like the both of them have some kind of bad blood between them because of the way they kind of ended. Remember, he was talking to her, one of many people that he was talking to, but it didn't really end good. And now Rich also talks about the fact that he got some new chick. He was talking to Jacque about it. And he's like, he's not really interested in this particular chick, but he feels like perhaps Jacque could possibly write some music for her, whatever, work on something together. Because Jacque right now is working with Nya Lee, and he feels like he helped to boost her up a little bit by working with her. Sin, she meets up with Jonathan, and it was all of them. It was like Sin, Kimbella, who else was there? Anais and Jonathan, all of them. They was just kind of talking about the party and what went down. Jonathan kind of checks on Anais because he's like, at the end of the day, nobody asked you to kind of get into it. It's almost like you ambushed her. You ambushed Juju. So she's like, I was trying to hold you down and help you. And he's like, I didn't need that. And they just kind of have a war of the words, just kind of hurting each other's feelings. And I'm just like, that friendship, if it's even real, is a real toxic. Because I just feel like they go for the juggler. He tells her she has like some whack ass wig on, and she tells him about himself. But one thing she did say was that it seems like he's the common denominator and everything, and he's the messy one. Because then he tried to come for Kimbella and say that Kimbella should have never told Juju. But it's like, Kimbella's like, I'm gonna tell like it is, because you talking about my girl behind her back, and I ain't like the stuff that you was saying, so I'm gonna let her know. So it's true. At the end of the day, the common denominator is Jonathan, and it's like he's over here saying things behind his people's back, and then he's mad that people's telling him. You should say it yourself if that's the case, you know? And then when you're in her face, it's just kind of like you're smiling. Like the girl didn't even know you had a problem with her. That I just feel like is crazy. And he told Anais something also about how she tries to steal his shine, and he's tired of dimming his light in order for her to have her shine. Which, like I did say, was kind of true, because I felt like in the party was a perfect example of that, because she comes in with a freaking pink ball gown when he told everybody to wear black, and then she comes singing and just kind of like shining bright like a diamond, and he's over here looking like a mother effing coal or something, you know? Like, damn, can I shine? So we get introduced to, before that, Juju, she went to go see Remy Ma, and they was kind of talking about it. Remy Ma is kind of having like the whole big sister vibes, and she tells her that she's going to be the mediator between her and Yandi, because she tells her like what happened with her and Yandi and how she feels about everything. We get introduced to Sydney Star. This is the chick that Rich had spoke about. When I first seen her, I'm like, something about her face just kind of reminds me of like a comedian or something. Like, it just looks like she wants to make people laugh, you know? But I'm like, I feel like I've seen her before. And I feel like wasn't she on one of the shows? Like, she had a cameo. I don't know if it was the last Love and Hip Hop New York or if it was Miami. No, I don't think it was Miami. It might have been Hollywood. I don't know, but I know I've seen her face before. Maybe it could have just been on the gram. I don't forget faces, but I forget names and stuff like that, or I might forget where I seen you. So yeah, she's on the scene now, and she has like a meeting with both Jacque and Rich Dollars, and then she busts out with the rap, and then she starts talking about she's a chick with a penis, and I'm like, oh, pause. And she said it like twice. First she said chick with a penis, then she said something about a woman with a dick or something like that. And it was just like, oh, okay. Yeah, I had a feeling something was different. So she's trans, a transsexual female. You know, Jacque was kind of looking at the breast, and then after that, he kind of was like looking at her face, you know, going forward. He's like, okay, you know. So yeah, he just kind of said that she kind of threw him off guard with all the penis talk or whatever. But, I mean, she definitely can take, what is it? She can grab people's attention, and she has that attention grabbing type of thing going on. I feel like she can command a room. You know, she could probably even host things. I feel like she has that kind of presence. So I guess we'll see what happens with her. And she's showing us a more domestic side of her this time around. She's showing us that she's back with her husband, and she shows us her kids. One of them is autistic. She does kind of seem like she gets overwhelmed really quickly. I don't know, like just looking at the scene, and I could be absolutely wrong, but I just kind of felt like she was just really annoyed. And I feel like that's the way she kind of is, because it seems like that's her personality. But once again, I could be completely wrong, but that's the vibes that I was kind of getting from her. She just kind of says that she's been doing this for like 15 years or so, and the older she gets, she just kind of feels like what she wants to happen, her dreams are not going to happen. And it's kind of, I guess, causing her to feel a lot of doubt. So Sydney, we talk to her, well, we don't talk to her, but she was talking to her friend Byron, who she's been friends with for like mad years or whatever, and she tells him that she's going to work with Rich Dollars, and she's not too sure how things are going to go, because she's afraid that maybe once he starts posting her and things like that, people might start saying, oh, you know, that's gay or whatever, and how he might respond. But her friend Byron was like, you know what, at the end of the day, his name is Rich Dollars. He going to do what he can to make the money, and that's what it's about. So he's going to do what he can to help you. And she was like, how he helps so many people. And he's like who? He was like, Erica Mena. It's like, not really with the music, though. He's like, Olivia. Like, okay, you know. There's few notable people that we know. I'm pretty sure he'd be doing a lot of other stuff in the back end or whatever. But the thing about it is that, I mean, for her, he's probably not going to get involved, so you don't have to worry about that part, because I feel like that's the part that kind of messes him up. So she just kind of feels like he's going to catapult her career to like the next level or whatever. Juelz, he was in the studio making some real good sounding music. Like, it sounded like it was like, you know how you make music? Well, we don't make music, but you know how these artists make music, and you can tell that it's coming from a real place. You can tell that it's coming from a struggle. Well, that's how I kind of felt when I was listening to the lyrics. Like, they gave us just a little brief, like, little snippet, little teaser, so we could try to get the music or download the music, want to hear the whole song. But I was kind of feeling it. I'm like, yo, yes, keep this vibe, bro. You know, like, you got to get in trouble to bring this kind of music, this kind of fire, this kind of heat, caliente. So, yeah, he was doing his thing, and his girl comes in, Kimbella. They just kind of talk about everything. And she told him that he was like always high all the time, and he needs to learn his lesson and take responsibility. And he just, at that moment, he just kind of felt like he was being attacked, and like everything was kind of going left. So he just was like, you know what, I'm done with this conversation. You win. Like, he just didn't want to hear it. He's like, so you trying to say that I should go to jail? You know, and that's another thing, like I was saying earlier, it's just kind of like when people are trying to really give you like that ass whooping and just trying to kind of tell you the real and not just kind of sugarcoat things and just kind of make things like, oh, you didn't do anything wrong, you don't deserve this. Like, yeah, he wasn't all there. He didn't intentionally do something that stupid, but it's his drug use that caused it. And yeah, it might have been prescribed, whatever, but when she was trying to help him, as she says, I mean, I wasn't there, but according to her, when she's trying to help him, he wasn't receptive to it. He wasn't really, but I mean, when you on drugs, you more dependent on that drugs than anybody else. So I don't know how to kind of twist it. I mean, I never really had anybody, like, I've known people that have had drug issues, but from a distance, like outside looking in. Like, it hasn't been something like in the close knit where I had to really, like, you know, kind of sit down and talk to anybody. So Yandi, Juju, and Remy Ma, they meet up for like a little lunch or whatever. Well, they was just drinking lemonade. And Remy was supposed to be the mediator. I feel like she did a really good job, because I feel like it could have went really sour if she wasn't there. So Juju brings up the fact that Yandi is somewhat of a hypocrite, because she's all talking about, oh, I'm secretive, which she doesn't really like that word. And it's like, oh, how I'm secretive, but you didn't even tell anybody about the fact that you and Mendices didn't even sign your paperwork. You know, isn't that like in the same thing? And she's like, no, because me and him had to sit down and discuss what we were going to do. Nah, ho, at the end of the day, you had this whole huge production, you know, taking the VH1 people and their money, acting like you had really legitimately got married when you actually did not. So, you know, and the only reason why she probably had to mention it is because his baby mamas probably would have outed her, because you know they was going to file and try to get that money. You know, like, oh, we can't get it from him, we going to get it from her. And they probably would have outed it to the press or whoever they needed to out it to. So she had to make sure she told everybody first. So I feel like that's probably the main reason why she even went ahead and told everybody, like the world, that they wasn't really, you know, really married. So once again, she was just trying to defend it. But the good thing about Remy Ma being there, she was like, after she let her speak, she's like, I gotta say that it sounds like both of you guys pretty much did the same thing. So it's on the same wavelength. She was like, let's just, going forward, just try not to use the words secretive, sneaky, private, you know, any of those types of words that can offend each other. So they all agreed upon that, and they were able to move forward. So it looks like they all good right now. Well, the two of them is good. But I feel like I said, if Remy wasn't there, Yandi would have kept on defending herself, and Juju would have kept on getting more and more upset. Like, I could just envision how that would have went. Nya Lee, she was performing with her butt all out, you know, showing her jewels, literally. And she gets off stage. She kind of was like, coming for Rich a little bit. Then Sydney comes, and she was just being super bubbly but extra, just like, you know, all up in her face. And like, I'm Sydney Star, and I've been a star before you have. And like, girl, just do one of these real quick. Can we breathe? You know, I mean, yeah, Nya Lee was more like, who's this? You know, just kind of like being a little bit like, you know, kind of sizing her up, but still, it just, I don't know, it was just too much everywhere. So then Jake, when they pull her to the side, when Rich kind of pulls her to the side, oh, my finger went in some Vaseline. I'm like, ew, what's that? So when he kind of pulls her to the side, he talks to her, and he's just like, you know, you can't get all crazy. You got to kind of keep it calm. And then Jacque comes over like, oh, you got to take it all the way down. That's my homegirl. Like, I feel like he just was going hard on her because he knows who she is. I don't know. I could be totally wrong, but I don't feel like she was that out of pocket. You know, because somebody's all like, who's this? You know, so she was given like that energy and then some. And she didn't like necessarily start it, you know? So I don't know. He's just like, well, if that's the energy you bring in, we can't work with you. We're going to have to shut that down, and we ain't going to have you. And if we do get into production, we're going to shut down the music. And I'm just like, but like, you're doing too much right now. Because your girl from before was mad Kiana, whatever her name was, she was mad OD, and she got on that album that y'all did, that song that y'all did. So what are you saying? Like, right now you just acting real shady. Kimbella and Joel's, they were the last scene that we saw. He was going to court to kind of make his decision. I think he said he took the plea deal, and he's just kind of worried because he doesn't know how many years the courts or the judge is going to actually give him. So that's looming over his head right now. She keeps on bringing up the drug issue and accountability and things like that. And he didn't really want to really talk about it. He's like, that's what she keeps on bringing up. And, you know, he's already stressed out or whatever. He said, don't act like we didn't do things to each other. Like, maybe you may not have cheated, but we did things to each other. He says how she was trying to act like she was single and stuff on the gram and all that, talking about we not together. And he's downstairs and she's upstairs. She's like, you could have came upstairs. You the man. You're supposed to kind of pave the way or whatever. You know, you're supposed to be the leader and kind of show us the way. I'm like, bitch, come on. If you say you don't want to be with him and you want him to get out or go down or whatever, I mean, it's going to be a big thing if he don't listen to your request, ain't it? Even if he is the one who maybe provided for the house or, you know, bought the house or whatever. I don't know how their money rolls, but I would assume. But who knows if them chicks is still coming in from the music that he had from before. Anyway, so that's kind of where the two of them is at. She was just kind of like on some, if that's the way you feel, then just leave me alone. You know, when he was kind of saying that there are times then she wasn't there for him when he needed her, almost making her feel like everything was her fault. But yeah, guys, let me know what you think about the episode down below. Thanks for watching. Be sure to stay fabulous, live free, and soar limitless. I'll see you in the next one.